Hey everyone, I am just going to take a minute to go over the documents that we require for compliance for both the listing side and the buying side. So to show you this, I'm going to go into opportunities. And let's look at the listing side first. So I have just little fake ones made already. It even says fake road. So I'm just going to click on that and we're going to look at these documents first. Okay. So when you're in the document section, you're going to see 3 folders for the listing. You're going to have one that all your listing documents, when you generate the listing, will go. You're going to have a under contract folder that once that listing goes under contract, you'll put all your contract documents moving forward in there. And then of course your closed documents go in this bottom one. Now within each of these little folders, you will have a list of different documents that you can go and add a file to. So the ones that are required will say, ta-da, required. And it will tell you why or what it is. And then you'll have some that say conditionally required and when it's conditionally required. So let's look at the required documents first. For the listing, we first require that you upload the full agent report from the MLS. And this is just so we can make sure that there's nothing in your MLS report that could come back and bite you with the board, because sometimes you get audited and we just want to make sure that everything that you have in there is correct and in compliance so that you do not get fined or anything. So that is the number one reason why that is required. The RECAD is required, the listing agreement, the estimated closing statement at the listing price, the dual agency agreement. We like for you to go ahead and get this. That way you do not have to ask your seller to sign one more thing if so happens the buyer is being represented by another Keller Williams agent, whether it be a Keller Williams Madison agent or a Huntsville agent. This is required. The affiliated business agreement is required for Capital Title because we are affiliated with them. So we have to let everyone know, regardless of if they use Brodowski and Capital Title, that's up to whomever decides that. So this just tells your seller that if they end up using Capital Title, that we are affiliated with them. Down here, you'll start seeing the conditionally required items and why. So coming soon is only required. Obviously, it doesn't come in soon. The listing change notice is required. If anything is changed with the listing, it requires the sellers sign off on that. Is where you would upload that. And then the lead-based paint is conditionally required if it was built before 1978. And the referral agreement if it's a referral, and the W-9 for that referring company if it's a referral. Now, say some of these are already full, like say you changed the price of the listing and now you are withdrawing it or changing the price again, but you already have this one in here. All you have to do is go up here to add item. We're going to name it, and we'll just say that it's a disclosure, and then you can go upload it and save it, and it'll load it down here at the bottom. So if you have multiple of one of these items, like an estimated closing sheet or something, you can upload all of them. All you have to do is just go in and add item. So under the contract, we ask that you, again, upload the full agent report showing that it's contingent and pending. Again, that is required because we don't want you to get audited by MLS and get a fee. The sales contract is obviously required. A copy of the earnest money is required. The inspection addendum, if it's not, unless it's noted in the contract, or if it's land or something, is required. The counter offer is conditionally required. If obviously if there's a counter offer, we need that counter offer in here. So that's only if it's your, the only reason it would be required is if you have a counter offer. The addendum to contract is required. If there's any addendums, and this is for me. So you guys will actually ignore that. But once I get the DA created, I will upload this in there so that you can see what your commission is going to be at that current price. This is conditionally required under the contract if the price is different from once the house was listed. If it's sold with the same price of the listing agreement, then we do not need this again. But if it has changed, then we will need a new estimated closing sheet. Mutual release is conditionally required if there's a mutual release. And then of course, any request for repairs or FHA addendums can go in there. In the close section, we require the closing disclosure / settlement statement, the final inspection, and a copy of the closing check. And then this is us, this is the your check and the other documents. So you actually ignored this spot, and any of your closing docs that we have handled for you, like your commission check and your DA, your final DA will go in there so that you have copies of it. So when do you submit this to us? You should submit the listing documents to us, have them uploaded, and then hit submit to MC within 48 hours of your listing going active. Again, this is just to cover you and make sure that you are good to go so that you do not get audited by, or if you were to get audited by the board or something, we make sure we have everything for you. Once your listing goes under contract, you should submit the contract documents to us within 48 hours. Especially if for whatever reason we're holding the earnest money, it's important for us to have all the documents so that we can get that earnest money deposited. And I'm not going to worry about telling you when this needs to be done because we know that you guys want to get paid fast. So as soon as you have your closing, most of you guys go ahead and turn this in. So that is the listing documents. So I'm going to go back and let's talk about the buyer documents. Now the buyer documents, there are a few things in here that are not in the listing packet that are required only if you're working with a buyer. Same thing, consultation, under contract, and closed. So when you start working with a buyer, you can get all their consultation paperwork. Once they go under contract, everything goes here. And then once it closes, it's closed. First thing that's required is the recap. And then the buyer's agency agreement, the buyer's acknowledgement agreement, again, the affiliated business agreement, and this is one that's new, the affiliated business agreement with Keller Mortgage. Now, the seller does not need to sign this because the seller is not the one taking out the loan. So it is the buyer's responsibility for you to have them sign this, to let them know that we are affiliated with a mortgage company, and that's Keller Mortgage. It has, it will not give you extra of anything. We just have to let them know that we are affiliated with them, unless it's a cash contract. Now, if it's a cash contract, then we do not need this. However, you should already have this signed before you have any sort of contract. So go ahead and get this. That way we don't have to ask you for it later. Again, W-9 is conditionally required if it's a referral or referral form. And then this new thing called the transaction broker is also required if you are just representing the buyer as a transaction broker. Again, if there's anything special, all you have to do is hit add item, tell me what it's called, and put it in there. Under the contracts, we have the sales contract, the inspection addendum, unless it's land, and again, if it is noted in the contract that there will be no inspection. Other than that, we require that, a copy of the earnest money, the estimated closing at the final terms. That means if there are any counter offers or addendums, this estimated closing needs to complement the final price that is agreed upon. Counter offer, addendum, an FHA, the lead paint, base paint, request of repairs are all conditional. And this is also conditionally required is a dual agency agreement. Now it's required for the seller, conditionally required for the buyer. You will know if you're working with a Keller Williams agent, so you can get that signed with this other paperwork. And then we have our closed. So when do you submit these to us? You can go ahead and submit the consultation documents to us whenever you want to when you sign up with a buyer. We know that you might not go under contract right away because with our market right now, you might put offers on several houses before narrowing one down. So we don't really have a time requirement for the consultation. Now, once it goes under contracts, then we need it within 48 hours, especially if we're holding the earnest money. So if you have not turned in your consultation documents once it goes under contract, then you need to turn them both into us at the same time. And then we all know you want to get paid fast. So closing documents, I'm not too worried about because I know you guys will get that uploaded. Now, one thing I do want to point out is sometimes things do not go through and they fall through and this stuff doesn't work out. So I do want to share with you a way that you can, and this is for the listing and the buyer opportunities, they both work the same way. You can actually add a different contract without starting completely over within the opportunity. So let's say Mr. Smith, his contract fell through for whatever reason. Maybe it didn't get funded. Maybe the request for repairs wasn't agreed upon or whatnot. So this one is just a no-go. So I'm going to go up here to this little arrow button and I'm going to hit add version. And I'm just going to say new contract 123 road. Create new version. This is going to change and all of these will be blank. So you can start completely over. However, you can always go back by clicking here to the old contract to get other stuff you need or if there's any other questions. You can do that for the listing as well as the buyer consultation. Any one of these folders you can change by adding a new version. So keep that in mind. You do not have to recreate opportunities if something falls through. You can just start with a blank slate without getting rid of everything. So those are basically the required documents and why they're required. If you have any questions at all about what documents are required, feel free to ask me or Sarah or Lisa or Jeremy or Sarah Reagan. We can help you with that, and we can always help you get these documents in your command too. Once they're submitted to us, you will get approved or you will get a return. Once they're returned, we usually add a little comment to tell you why they're returned. And then you can just re-upload that version or whatever the new version. So anyway, let me know if you guys have any questions whatsoever. If not, have a great day.